Hi, I'm a Jan Bindel and I am making a macro pad. So, what I wanted to do is basically I have this problem where I recently got a new keyboard, which is why is it backwards both ways? Yeah. So the problem with that is that even though it's really nice, sounds great and everything, there's no number pad. And I thought I did not need a number pad until I started doing Blender again, and I do need a number pad. So the plan is to make a macro pad that can act as my number pad, but also can serve many other purposes. So basically, what's gonna be happening is randomly, whenever I'm working, I will go ahead and start live streaming on YouTube, and this will make it so that uh I can kind of like focus on my work, and if you join in, I can also get some tips, tricks, or any opinions or anything like that from you guys, and I can make a better macro pad. The goal is to be super easy to reproduce and cheap. All right, so the target price I'm aiming for is around 40 bucks, and everything will be available from Amazon, and it'll be really, really easy to make. And the point of the live stream is so that if you're trying to make this, right, you could watch these videos and get the general idea, but you can also go ahead and watch live stream to get every single step of the way, right? I'll go ahead from the ideas to the parts to designing the macro pad, uh, to printing out the parts, um, to assembling all of it together, to wiring it all up, to flashing the firmware, everything. So everything will be shown in this series, and the goal is to hopefully um, also give announcements before I start streaming, just so you have a bit of a heads up. I might stream regularly at some on certain days. We'll see. But yeah, there'll also be a Discord server in the description if you want, and I'll post whenever I'm streaming there. So if you want to watch this journey, you can go ahead and join me there. So, let's go ahead and do a recap of the first live stream. So the way this whole thing will work is I have a live stream, and then if you don't want to watch the 2, 3, 4 hour long live stream, you can go ahead and watch these videos, and these videos will be like a recap. And then if you really don't have enough time, you can also watch a YouTube short version. But let's get started. So we over here we have the Waveshare RP2040. And so I chose this for a couple of reasons. One, it has a display. And one of the priorities for my macro pad is that has to have some sort of display because I think it's kind of cool and they're not that expensive. They're 8 or 9 bucks. So I went ahead and tried to find an MCU with a display built in. Now, some people might not have this particular model available. So there is this company called Nullbits, right? And they make a display around the almost exact same size. I think it's like 0.91 inches. And it's also black and white OLED instead of LCD. And you can always get one of those. And basically this is a Raspberry Pi Pico essentially, right? But the one I chose this one was one, it's pretty cheap, all right, especially for the display included. It has a JST connector, which means I can add a battery if I wanted to, and it has USB-C. That's the most important part. And again, it's also small and everything, so I feel like this was a good fit. Then we also have the switches. So I chose Aqua V3 Cream Yellow Rose because I currently have Kale Boxbite V2s on my actual keyboard, and so I kind of want to try something different. And I heard these, and these sound pretty good. And for a macro pad, I feel like a linear would feel pretty nice, so I chose these. And the reason I chose the PCB mount switch version is because of the fact of how we're going to be wiring this, which I'll explain in a bit. We also chose some RGB, because why not? So I'm thinking either I'm probably gonna get these LED strips, right? They're just common LED ARGB strips, or I could get this like matrix. I don't know. I'll see. I'll probably choose the strips because it'll probably be easier to work with. But yeah, this is the OLED display I was talking about by Nullbits. Um, everything will be in the description if you want a link to that. But yeah. And then in terms of keycaps, what we're going to do is went ahead and on STL Finder, I have found this link with Thingiverse, which is by Andrew620. It's also in the description. And basically, it's just a flat keycap. And what I went ahead and did was I took the model and I got the stem from it, and then I'll make the actual rest of my keycaps myself. So those are all the parts, and that's how I'm gonna make the keycaps. The switch plate is gonna be an interesting thing. There's this website called keyboardlayouteditor.com. So I'll go ahead and link this as well. Basically, you make a layout, you copy the raw data, you go to here, and you go to builder.swillkb.com. And you can go ahead and paste that layout here. Choose MX plus ALPS for the best compatibility, and it's just pretty easy to print. Choose your stabilizer types if you have any stabilizers on your macro pad. You can hit draw my CAD, and I'll actually paste it. And basically the way that worked, if you hit draw my CAD, it would do this. And then what I went ahead and did was I took this DXF and imported it into Blender, which you will see in just a moment. Alright, so now it's drawing time, alright? So I want to explain how the wiring is going to work on this. So, let's just get this up here. Normally what you have, alright, let's see if I can get a good angle on this. Alright, so normally what you'll have is something like this. Basically, you go ahead and let's say you have 9 switches, right, in a 3x3 grid. So go here. Okay. And then each one of these is its own switch. And the way you wire it up is, say if I press the center switch right here, right, this pin will light up, okay, this middle one, and then so will this one, okay? So these two will light up, right? And that will tell the microcontroller, hey, these two pins are being lit up, so that's the coordinates of this switch, all right? So this is called matrix, all right? This is matrix style wiring, all right? This is commonly used in PCBs and even in hand wire boards. But the only problem is with this thing requires diodes. All right. So first of all, I don't want to do PCB because it's more expensive, and even though the PCBs are cheap, right? Actual shipping cost is really expensive. So what we're gonna go ahead and do, all right, is we're gonna do hand wiring. And hand wiring, if you do a matrix, also requires diodes. And I just want to make it super simple, and I didn't want to spend any more money than I had to. So I was willing to go ahead and do something else, which is a little bit different. All right. Now, what I'm talking about is called direct wiring. Sorry for the bad handwriting, but it's direct wiring. All right. Now, basically, let's just make a couple of dots. You have your 3x3 grid, tilted, whatever. Now, one thing is going to have your ground pin on your microcontroller, all right? And this will link to every single switch, all right? It'll be the same wire for all 9 switches. But then you also have one discrete wire coming out of every single switch. Okay, they're all different wires, all right? And these will all go to different pins on the MCU, the microcontroller. Okay? So in this case, there'll be 9 total pins, right? Because there's 9 switches. And then when you push the switch, it will be pulled low to ground, and you can go ahead and detect that and say, hey, that switch was pressed. So this is what we're doing, which is a bit more messy and requires a little bit more time to assemble, I think, right? But I think it's also a lot easier and, in my opinion, a bit cheaper, since we're not going to be wiring like this much wire. We're gonna if you're gonna buy wire, might as well use a bit more of it and save money on the diodes, which are cheap, but yeah. So this is how the wiring is gonna work. And yeah, now let's go ahead and switch over to the CAD. I'll explain that now. Alright, so I hopped in Blender and imported the DXF file. And I went ahead and tried to go ahead and make an outline. Didn't really work out, so what I went ahead and did was I kind of used that outline to carve it into another plate. I think that's the exact same size. And after doing some math and everything, I carved it out and it looked good. Let's just carve it out real quick. Yeah, so here's me carving everything out from the original outline. I'm getting everything out from the outline. And then I go ahead and take the switches, this was the switch holes, and then I take all those, and then I go ahead and carve it from the block that I placed, the cube, and yeah, okay, now it's all carved. And what I went go ahead and did was I noticed that the switch plate holes, there was nothing was actually solid. It was like two planes on top of each other. It wasn't a full 3D shape. So I went ahead and went through each and every single side and made it completely solid. And that took a while, and I've ended up with some weird topology, but I think it's fine as long as it's accurate. And yeah, so I was just editing a lot of corners, making sure everything's all good. Okay, now everything's all good. So what I went ahead and did is import a switch. And this was so that I could kind of see if it fit properly. And later in the video, I'll also go ahead and add some keycaps. And that way I can go ahead and make sure those are also sized correctly. So what I'm doing right now is just placing all the switches in the right place. I was thinking of texturing them, but like never mind, I'll texture the whole thing in that aqua yellow color. And so I textured all that in one color. And now I'm gonna go to the switch plate and texture all of that one color. And now add a light just for later a future render. This guy a little bored, so yeah. And then I was talking to a viewer about the switch plate thickness. I forgot his username, but I'll put it in the description. And so I originally had 2 millimeters, but now I have a 4 millimeter thick plate. Then I imported that keycap model I was talking about earlier in this video, and I placed one just to make sure it fits, and it does fit. So what I went ahead and did was, we'll take a break for it now. When I came back though, what I went ahead and did was make some copies of the keycap because I want to make some different designs. So the first thing I wanted to do was get rid of that rounded, the beveled edge. I wanted to try something different, and I was trying to fix some topology in the meantime. I got really distracted and started focusing on the completely wrong things. But basically, I was trying to fix all of the little topology issues, trying to make it exactly how I wanted to, and then eventually, like, there's a lot of problems with the topology. The model got messed up after doing what I did. So eventually, what I decided to do is just take out the entire keycap and just isolate the stem. And what that would let me do is that I could um make my own keycap based on that. Right now I'm still trying to mess around with the topology and trying to get, and there you go. Now I got the stem, and I went ahead and fixed the topology of that, and that's like almost perfect. There you go. Now I got the hollow stem part. So then what I went ahead and did was after I textured all this stuff, I kind of looking around, and I started making a basic switch, and that's about as far as I got. Um, but after the live stream, I forgot to add this in. I went ahead and modified the switch a little bit, made the wall thickness of the switch, the cap, I mean, actually like not like just a plane, because in here it's just a plane. So I made it like a millimeter thick. I think that's a little too much. I don't know, like half a millimeter thick, something like that. Basically, I made some modifications to it so I could possibly print it. But it looks the exact same. It looks like the exact same thing. And yeah, so that was the CAD that we did on day one. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. If you want, you can go ahead and watch the full length live stream, which will be in the description. You can also go ahead and watch, well, I guess there's no point watching the short version as you watch this. But yeah, I recommend you also subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified whenever I start streaming randomly, or if a new video gets, if I post a new video to recap my live streams or anything like that. And also join the Discord server, which is going to be linked in the description. And yeah, basically that way you will know what's happening. And yeah, so you can stay up to date. And eventually, when we get to the final product, you'll see how it looks like. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.